Perfect. So we'll just give a few minutes for our participants to join, and then we're going to get started. So it's now 5:01. We'll give a few more minutes and see. And to honor our time, just go ahead and we're going to get started. So good evening, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be able to come before you and have what is another important conversation about the focus and the moves that we're making in Sequoia Union High School District. I am your superintendent, Dr. Darnice Williams, and this evening's presentation, more like a conversation, is going to be supported by several famous folk who work in the area of education to ensure that after high school, our students have lots of support and also the guidance that they need in order to be successful in terms of their post-high school experiences. And so with that, I am going to start with introductions. We have with us from Cañada College, Chancellor Michael Claire. Yay. Also joining us this evening, and I know you see the PowerPoint, you may not see them depending on the view that you have. We also have Kim Lopez, who is the interim president of Cañada College. So we welcome her with a big Sequoia welcome and smile. Also representing and bringing in a wealth of knowledge is we have Dr. Jamila Moore from San Francisco State University, who is the VP of Student Enrollment and Engagement. And along with her, we have Katie Lynch, who is the Assistant VP, Vice President of Student Enrollment and Engagement. So we are prepared to have an informative and insightful evening around college, advancing college and career pathways in Sequoia Union High School District, where excellence is our baseline through leadership, service, and equity. And so just to start off so that we all know, part of our mission, next slide, please, and our vision in Sequoia is to become a national and international beacon of equity and excellence that stands as the first choice for all families and communities within our district boundaries. And if you've ever heard me speak, you know we are number one. And not only are we number one in San Mateo County in terms of educating all students and making sure that everyone has exactly what they need, we also stand to become a model and a leader across the country and also internationally. And so when families are looking for students and looking for schools where their kids can be supported, I want them to think, even as early as a birth, to say, Sequoia Union High School District, that's the school for our family, that's the school for our students, and that is the school district that is going to support the educational advancement of my child and our family with support, with rigorous instruction, with intervention, all the wonderful programs, extracurricular activities, and mainly safety. And as we recently know with the surge with Omicron, that Sequoia Union High School District has been at the forefront in attempting, doing our best job to make sure that we keep our spaces, our learning spaces safe for our teachers, our staff members, and most importantly, our most precious babies, our students. And so with that, we want to talk about just equity and having access. What does it mean to advance college and career readiness opportunities? Next slide. So who are we? So you all are in our district, and those of you who are new to the conversation, we are comprised of 8 schools. We have close to, well, a little over 9,000 students. We have about 12,000 or less of staff and faculty members. We have a graduation rate of 87.1%, and that's our cohort graduation rate. And you can see our attendance, you can see our ethnicity. We are very diverse. And then also you see that we also have a representation of our students who are unduplicated. And that means our students who we want to really focus in on and make sure that we're providing the necessary opportunities so that we keep true to our commitment to equity and ensuring that all students have what they need. And it's not based on a zip code, it's not based on economics, it's really based on the students and the talents that they bring to the conversation. And know that we welcome the conversation from all of our families and all of our parents and all of our students, because without you, we would not exist. Next slide. So I'm saying all that to say this when we get to the next slide. I have come to have this discussion about what does it mean for college preparation? What are those prerequisite courses that are needed and skills as you move towards a readiness for college, but also as you move forward to readiness for a high school? And so district-wide, we have what all of you may be familiar with are those A through G requirements. In order to say that, hey, I am ready and eligible to enter into a UC or a Cal State University, that I have met all of the A through G requirements. That means I have taken the required courses in English and world language, social studies. I have also taken an ethnic studies class, but all those things that are needed, that are believed to lay a foundation for study skills, to be able to analyze, to think critically, all those things that make us great thinkers and deep thinkers, and also contributors to society. And so district-wide, we have 9,000, well, it's not 9,000 seniors, but of our district-wide students, here is our percentages of students who are meeting their A through G requirements. And this is as of 2020. So this includes only the graduates, our senior class from 2020, who were in the district for 4 years. And that's how we're able to determine the students that were with us. That's why it's important that our students start with us in a 9th grade, because we're going to ensure that they're going to have access to the most rigorous and robust educational program available, so that they are competitive and well-skilled as they leave us and they go on, be it to a community junior college, is what they called it in my day, or to a 4-year university. Next slide. So here's the other conversation that I like to just jump right into. I've had lots of questions from parents since I've started with Sequoia Union High School District 6 months in, and I'm proud to say I'm here and here to stay as long as you'll have me. And questions were around, what are we doing for our students, for my child, in order to make sure that they have the prerequisite opportunities so that they're prepared for college? And so in having those questions, one thing I said is, I know we have ambiance, I know we have fabulous teachers and fabulous counselors. In addition, what would be a great companion to the wonderful services that we're providing would be a college and career readiness guide. So in Sequoia Union High School District this semester, we will be launching Sequoia Union High School District's College and Career Readiness Guide. And what this guide is going to do is it's going to provide personalized support, advice, recommendations to each student based on their performance level, based on certain assessments they've taken, their performance, how many A through G requirements they have completed, what their career goals are. It's going to map an action plan that's easily accessible for students and also for parents, so they can sit down and have the conversation. And guess what? It's going to be presented to you electronically and by mail in your home language. And so we want to make sure that as we communicate our goals and as we communicate progress of your students within our district, that we are reaching out to all parents, all families. We are keeping equity at the forefront and basically giving everyone what they need in order to be informed, to make informed decisions about the next steps for their students and for their children. And then also for us to have information if we have questions. So for example, this is really cool and I'll tell you why. Say for instance, you want to have enrichment opportunities for your student. They're high performing, what we call high performing. There may be an opportunity, which you're going to hear later, for your student to take classes at the local community college and concurrent enrollment. And so there also may be opportunities for your student, any student, to graduate with an AA degree. There also may be opportunities for your student, your child, our student, to engage with programs, certification programs, CTE programs, that's career tech programs that are associated with the community college, but also with the four-year university, maybe even at San Francisco State. And so look for this information to come. It's going to be available through your counselor, also via email. And then again, it's going to be presented as well to you by mail. So with all of this said, here's what we have to remember. Sequoia Union High School, next slide, has an unwavering commitment to equity. Again, since I've arrived 6 months in, still smiling, still happy, excited about having conversations, extended conversations with families, parents, community members, and everyone on this call can tell you I'm relentless. So I just want to make it clear because I've had a few questions where individuals, community members have come and said, Dr. Williams, we hear you say a lot about equity, but what does that mean? On one front, there is an understanding that equity means you have to take something away from one group in order to advance another group. And I'm very intentional about my language, and I say it the same way or close to the same way each time so that we are clear that equity means that everyone, not only our students, but everyone in our system has access to exactly what they need in order for them to be successful. That we are going to erase any barriers that will prevent one group from succeeding, and this perception that you have to do that in order for another group to excel. Equity means that we have justice, equity, equality, and that we are overshadowing what many believes that the reality currently for some and in some systems is that folk get more than what they need or what is needed while others get less. So if you see the image before you, you can see how everyone is there and looking, the three individuals, they're looking at the game, trying to enjoy the game. And there is a gate, if you could see a fence rather. And you see someone has all of these stacks of boxes, wooden boxes or steps that they can see much clearer. They have a greater view, right? Almost that balcony view of the game. And then you have someone who can't see over, and then one in the middle is just a little bit over. But when we get to equality, that assumption is that everyone benefits from the same support. And so, you know, that's not necessarily the same. And I give the bike analogy. If I were to ride a bike, some people need training wheels. Some people are experts, and so they can ride the bike. And then some people, they just cannot ride the bike at all. And so they may want to have the bike that's going to fit their needs. And then plus, you know, I'm taller, and you know, other things. So I need a special kind of bike. Okay, so that's going to meet my needs. And then equity just means that everyone gets that support that they need. But then justice, means that you erase barriers for everyone. So you see how that gate is eliminated? You erase that for everyone, and that everyone is able to have access, and in this case, to a robust educational program with accommodations that will meet their needs, and no one has any barriers. And so in Sequoia Union High School District, no matter what someone says, we do not ascribe to having taken away something from someone else in order for others to succeed. It is just removing all barriers for everyone so that everyone has an opportunity to do their best, have access to the best, and then we become the best. So that, for the purposes of our existence in Sequoia Union High School District, and operationally for this evening's conversation as we frame it, giving everyone what they need, mitigating all, taking away all barriers. Next slide. And so with that, I am going to introduce someone who is very important to this conversation and has lots of information, one of many on this call, but he has the distinct pleasure of serving as the Chancellor of Cañada College. And he's joined by his colleagues, as I mentioned earlier, President Kim Lopez, and he's going to kick it off and talk about some options that maybe we have or have not considered as we are preparing ourselves for college and career opportunities, while also knowing that it doesn't start in 12th grade, doesn't start in the 11th grade, it starts right out the gate when we arrive to school. So without further ado, Chancellor Michael Claire, thank you for joining us this evening.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Dr. Williams, and I just loved your vision, your district's vision. It so matches our work and what we want to do, and I appreciate what you said and how well you said it. It really speaks to us, and just appreciate those words. So my name is Mike Claire. I'm the Chancellor of the San Mateo County Community College District, and we have Cañada, wonderful institution, College of San Mateo and Skyline. I will tell you, and I know a pretty short period of time, I am a proud graduate of Sequoia High School. I won't tell you how long ago, but it was a very long time ago. And I took that community college walk. I actually had a great experience at Sequoia. And I know they're all great schools, so I'm not just signaling out Sequoia. I did go to Cañada College. My family did not have the money to send me away to school, and I did not want to take on student debt. And while I have Dr. Moore and Dr. Lynch with us, I took advantage of the wonderful CSU system, and I was able to stay home and commute and go to school, and I had a great experience. And that CSU system, we are so lucky to have 3 great schools. That allowed me to do exactly what I needed to do. So I am going to tell you a bit about college choices, but I want to acknowledge both the Sequoia Union High School District, our district, and Cañada College in particular, and in our CSU system. And sorry, Dr. Moore, I did attend Cal State East Bay, but I know San Francisco State is outstanding as well. It worked for me. That's all I can tell you. So I want to quickly roll through the community college option, then I'll turn it over to President Lopez. And I wanted to start with a picture of real community college students. I'm going to go through in about 5 minutes, what it usually takes me an hour to go through. So I won't tell you all their stories, but I wanted to start with real students. These are our students. These are the students that come from your high schools to us. And I won't tell you their life stories, but I will tell you that there's a person in that picture that is the first in his family to graduate from college, and he wound up getting a full ride scholarship to Stanford University. There's another young man who, after being robbed in a liquor store, worked at a liquor store, and after being robbed 4 or 5 times, had a gun held to his head, decided to go back to school. He got a full ride scholarship to Columbia University. There's another person in this picture that attended San Francisco State and is very successful. And another person that went to Sonoma State and is, again, very successful. So we are a great mechanism for students to transfer if that's what they choose to do. If I can get the next slide. I'm used to having this. And if you can just skip to the next one, I'm going to go through some of this pretty quickly. Here's what I talk to a lot of parent groups, and here's what I say, and I'm going to talk to you from the perspective of a parent. When you think about that option after high school, what I've learned is it is much more important to get out of college than it is to get into the quote unquote right college. You are looking at a graduate from Cal State East Bay, and I love Cal State East Bay. I had a great experience, but it's not exactly on the World News and Report #1 college, but it was the right college for me at the right time to get me to what I needed to do. And I did graduate in 4 years. And I cannot tell you how many students we work with at the community colleges, great students, great college they went to, but it wasn't the right fit. And they come back to us. It happens a lot more than you might think. If I can get to the next slide. I'm not going to go through all of these, and I presume that the PowerPoint's available, but I just want to talk about making the right choice about that college, whether it's coming to one of our community colleges, Cañada, San Francisco State, or somewhere else. Make that choice based upon quality and fit, not reputation. Just because something's ranked in the college reports doesn't mean it's the best college for your student. I'll skip right to the last bullet point. I call it bumper sticker bragging rights. Parents love and guardians love to put the college that their children go to, and I call it bumper sticking bragging rights. And it's more important to get the right fit. More important than anything else. That is what's going to have your students succeed. If I can get to the next slide. And all I want to do today is I want to put in your mind of thinking of the community college route as a viable option. And you will find, and you'll hear my family story in this just a second, by not seriously thinking about the community colleges as a viable option, or in partnership with our state universities, because students can do both, you're really placing a limit on your viable options. So if I can go to the next slide. Very quickly, as I said, I usually do this in an hour. When I talk to groups, high school groups, I talk to people parent to parent, because I am a parent of 3 daughters. My wife and I, my children are all grown up now. They graduated a long time ago. All 3 of them, in fact, everybody in my family, starting with my dad, my aunts, my uncles, all of us went to community college first, every single one of us. And so we had that same discussion with our 3 daughters. All 3 of them started with our community college system, even though they had options if they wanted to go right into a 4-year university out of high school. If I can get to the next slide. Sorry, hopefully it'll go. Oops, somehow got me. There we go. Yeah, a little bit further back. So, okay, yeah, there you go. So I'll go very quickly, and I won't tell you their whole stories, but I'll start with the picture on the right. My daughter Megan is there with her best friend Laura. Megan and Laura have been best friends since kindergarten. They went all the way through high school together. This is a picture of them at their UCLA graduation. Both received a degree in English, both graduated at the same time from UCLA. The cost of that 4-year degree for Laura was probably, and her family, was approximately $120,000. The cost for our family, my daughter and our family, was approximately $60,000. Why? Because our daughter spent the first 2 years, her freshman and sophomore year, at our community colleges, and picked up all of the requirements that were needed to transfer as a junior. She was accepted at every school she applied to, UC Irvine, UCSB, Cal Poly, San Francisco State, and UCLA. Now, I have limited time. She's the oldest, so she's going to get all the attention tonight. I'll skip the other 2. I will tell you that the young lady in the lower left, sitting on the stairway, that's my youngest daughter. She too is a graduate of Sequoia High School. She went ahead and majored in studio art, and she was accepted to a number of schools. She wound up at UC Davis and met a lot of the friends that had gone to Sequoia. She just came to UC Davis a little bit later, but all 3 of my daughters were accepted to every school they applied to. And what I loved about the community college option is going in, they were able to start narrowing in on their major, and they were able to get advice from our faculty, from our counselors. So my daughter Kelly said, "Yeah, I'm going to major in physiology, biology. What are the best schools in California for that?" And she applied to all the ones that her faculty recommended, had a choice of anything she wanted pretty much. And that's another advantage of starting with the community colleges is you get that choice and you get that opportunity to really think about what you want to do. Next slide. And the question is, where are they now? And again, it sounds like I'm bragging about my kids, but if my kids were the only ones that were able to do this, I wouldn't legitimately be able to stand up here. This was just our experience. Very quickly, you can read it as quickly as I can say it. All three graduated from four-year institutions. All three had their choice. Two of them wound up at UCLA. One wound up at UC Davis. Two of them have gone on to get advanced degrees, one a master's in education, the other a doctorate in physical therapy. My youngest graduated from Sequoia in 2014, is working right now, BS in studio art, minor in art history. It's that next column, student debt after graduation. All three of them, $0. All three of them are gainfully employed. And as a parent, I want them to get a wonderful education, but I really want them to be gainfully employed as well. They all have great jobs and they're all really doing well. Next slide. Okay, you know, it's okay. I think I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'll stop here. So the only thing, and I'll let you read that, I'm not going to walk through this, but I guess what I would tell you as a parent of community college students, it does work. It really does work. We have great working relationships. I'm so happy that Dr. Moore, I was sad for us to lose Dr. Moore as the president of Cañada, but I could not be happier that she is at San Francisco State University, because we have great working relationships with our primary institutions, including San Francisco State. So as I said, you know, keep it as a viable option. It works. And it breaks my heart to see families spend so much money, or families take on, or students take on so much student debt and not even look at the community colleges as a possible option. So I know my time is up, and I'll stop there. And I think Kim Lopez is going to follow me. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Claire. We'll go ahead and just let's keep on going through the slides, because what I'm going to give you now, Chancellor Claire, you really set this up. So you really, I hope, piqued everybody's interest in what an important option our California community colleges are. And of course, Cañada College, being right here in our backyard, is your closest option. But you're fortunate, because in this particular meeting today, you get three presidents for the price of one. So you get Chancellor Claire was the president at College of San Mateo for many, many years. Dr. Moore was my predecessor, the permanent president, for over 5 years at Cañada as well. So they have so much expertise, and they can offer and fill in wherever I might leave out. But what I'm going to get into right now is just the nitty gritty, like how can your student take advantage of coming to any of the colleges, but particularly Cañada College, when they're in high school. And so there's really three main pathways and bridges, I would call them, to Cañada from Sequoia Union High School District. There's what we call dual enrollment, there's concurrent enrollment, and then there's middle college. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time getting into each one of them so you can kind of get a sense of what you think might be, or maybe even a combination of them would be a great fit for your student. And I would absolutely suggest that 100% of the Sequoia Union High School District students should take advantage of one or more of these options while they're a high school student. So if we can go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to go broad and then get more and more and more information. So in a broad overlook, the first thing to remember is that California high school students can attend community college for free every semester, up to 4 courses per term. All right, so that means no fees, that high school students do not have to pay fees. And so this is how students access courses. The first is through what we call concurrent enrollment. And we have nearly 500 students from Sequoia Union High School District in 2021 that decided to take this route. And that what this is that high school students work with their high school counselor, and they pick courses that supplement their high school curriculum. So some of those courses could be higher level math classes or physics or chemistry, or sometimes it's a physical education class like yoga, or there's this biking classes, and there's all kinds of new ways to work out. And we see lots of students coming to take their recreational courses as well. So this is a supplemental to high school, and you work with the college counselor and for your parents to kind of fill out the paperwork to have access to really all of our classes. The other option, which is we just started rolling out last semester, is called dual enrollment. And in the fall, we served 145 students at Sequoia Union High School District. This semester, we're going to serve 250 students that are Sequoia Union High School students, and they take classes during the daytime at the high school. And that course can be taught with either a high school teacher or a college teacher. It just depends on the course. So we'll talk more about that in a bit. And then the third option is middle college. And that we can serve up to 156 students. This is a program that is run through Sequoia Union High School District. Students come and spend the whole day, Monday through Friday, on campus. They take their high school classes in the morning, and then they take the college classes in the afternoon. So they're with us from 8 to 3, and my office is right next to the middle college program. So I get to see all the students every morning, walk down to their classes, and then walk back out. So let's go to the next slide. And let me show you some more information about concurrent enrollment. I think it's, one more. Okay, there we go. Okay, so concurrent enrollment. This allows student, again, to get a head start in college, to get a sense, get a feeling for what college would be like. You get to use the credits towards your high school degree, but you also get a chance to try something new. And again, what Dr. Williams mentioned earlier, it can supplement what students are taking in the high school. Add something extra, like if you don't have psychology or ethnic studies, these are the kinds of courses that students get to take just to get a chance to try something broader. And again, tuition is free. So the next one I'm going to talk to you about is dual enrollment. And I want to give you some examples of classes that we are offering at the high schools in spring. Next, well, that would be right. Right, we're offering them now. School started. So as you can see here at Woodside High School, we're offering an engineering pathway. And this is an opportunity. Engineering 100 is an opportunity for students who are thinking about engineering to kind of get a sense of it. Is this really the career they want to try? They maybe even want to major in. The 3 units they earn will count on their college transcript, but it also counts on their high school transcript. So that's why we call it dual enrollment. And again, it is at Woodside High. Carmont, we're offering business and marketing. And so if your student's considering a business career, this would be a good class for them to consider. And then at Redwood High School, we're offering college and career counseling. And this is a career and life planning class. So study skills, what kind of majors we do, majors and interest inventories. So this is a great first class to take if a student's wanting to kind of get ready for college. So this is just the beginning. We're working right now to offer all kinds of different pathways: digital media, art, social justice. So please have your student work with their counselor, talk to see what options available for them at their high school. Again, there's no tuition. All these classes will count to the CSU, the UC, private institutions. It's really a great opportunity to explore careers while a student is still in high school. So if we move to the next slide, middle college, again, this is really a high school at the Cañada campus. So you get free tuition, you get more flexibility in your schedule, you get access to everything at Cañada College. So you get access to our counselors, to tutoring, to our library, to our career center, to our transfer center, as you get the point, right? So the student is a college student, even though they're only in 11th grade. Some of our students have graduated from middle college and walked across the stage, received their high school diploma, and at the same time received their diploma, their associate's degree too. So it's an amazing opportunity for students that want to try and really want to try a new environment and really dive into college early. Okay, so if we go to the next slide, I just have some information to share you. Dr. Williams, am I taking too much time? No, okay, you just let me know. Okay, so the next slide is going to give us some information, some data. I think there's, well, that's okay, we'll go here. So we are serving about 600 students in all the programs, that's right, and we still don't have our data for spring yet. So it's a good cohort, but we're looking again to get to thousands in the next few years. That is our goal. So if you go to the next slide, I want to show you how well our students do when they take college classes. You can see our course success rate is over 90%. And the number of units that students take, and this is per semester, range from 3 units, which is one class. 4.3 units really is more of a STEM class. Those tend to be 5-unit classes. And then middle college students average about 6 units each semester. So you can see where the students can really get a jump start in a very short amount of time on their college career. If we go to the close to the last one, okay, the Promise Scholars Program. This is a program that a lot of families have heard about because it's offered, they hear Promise Scholars or Promise Program is, you hear it at a lot of community colleges, but it's very, very different in our district. And we worked with the CUNY ASAP program, a model that's in New York, and our program is a completion program. So we don't just waive your tuition or your fees and that's it. We support students up to 3 years in terms of textbook support, $750, in terms of a very small counselor to student ratio, 150 students to one counselor. That's very small. We support students with food, with transportation, with priority enrollment, and of course, the waiving of fees. But most importantly, working with counselors to make sure that students have an educational plan and they know exactly what they're taking and why they're taking it so that they can graduate in 3 years. And our goal is that at least 50% of our students get their associate's degree within 3 years. So again, you have to be a full-time student, new to Cañada, filling out the FAFSA, fill out the California Dream Act. We help you do that. We help your student do that. And that the student must want to be able to earn their associate's degree and transfer. So if we have the last part here, I want you to hear, this isn't going to take very long. I think it's under a minute, but I just want you to hear from really one of our middle college students, Katie. So she can tell you what her experience has been. And again, that she was in this remote environment, but she was in person before moving into the remote environment. If we could play her video, if that's possible. I think you have to click.
Hover over the bottom, and then you should see the start. The bottom of the image, of Katie's image. To the left normally.
No, not hovering. Yeah, well, I'm going to just give you what Katie does share as a middle college student is how important it was for her to have access to our learning center in order to really excel in her classes. And our students love our learning center. All the support they get, the camaraderie they get. It's really just a place where students hang out, but they study together. They learn how to hang out. They learn how to study together and get through college and probably do much better than they would have had they just been going home and studying by themselves. So there's so much to learn when students engage in college while they're in high school. So my dream is that every single student from Sequoia Union High School student takes a college class before they graduate and go on. So thank you so much. I'm going to leave my contact information. That's the final slide that has my email, my office phone number. So I want people to feel very comfortable to reach out to me if there's anything. I was a counselor before I got into administration. So, well, I'm probably dangerous now with my college counseling information, but I'm going to turn it back to you, Dr. Williams. Thank you so much for giving me this time.
So thank you both, Chancellor Claire, and then also President Lopez. And just to let everyone know who's on today with us, we will have a period for questions. And so you will have space and time to answer questions. This is just an overview to familiarize you with some programs that we have in collaboration with both Cañada College and then also with San Francisco State University. And so I know there's one question that's up, and I will answer that about the middle college. I promise I'll come back. And then we'll have interesting dialogue, very insightful and helpful. Thank you. All right, let's go. So now we've heard about the community college resources and opportunities even before you get to college, and also the financial benefit of starting at the community college. And so we know that it's not a lesser opportunity. If anything, it's a greater economic experience, and also it's a wealth of educational experience as well. And so as we move forward, we have the distinct pleasure to have our conversation about San Francisco State University and how you may get involved and have your students become involved in the university's program. So without further ado, Dr. Jamila Moore, Vice President of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, will join us for this conversation. Welcome this evening, Dr. Moore.
Thank you so much for the welcome, and thank you for the opportunity to participate. Myself and Dr. Katie Lynch will be tag teaming this presentation, and thank you. It's good to see you, Chancellor Claire and President Lopez. Thank you so much for teeing us off with that fantastic information about those wonderful opportunities. Next slide, please. As Dr. Williams indicated, we wanted to come and share some information with you about San Francisco State University and those options for students who want to either come directly to us from Sequoia Union High School District, or may even be transferring. So I'm going to let Katie do this first slide. I'll do the second one. So Dr. Lynch, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll be back.
Awesome, and thank you. I'll ditto the appreciation for having us as part of this conversation tonight. It's wonderful to be amongst colleagues and talking to you all about the different opportunities that exist for you. I actually am going to hope that, I think we skipped one slide. If we could go one slide back. This is a bit of information of kind of, why students that choose San Francisco State University end up choosing San Francisco State. We really believe in the work that we're doing and the way that we cultivate change within our students. And so we have a strong reputation for creating change, and it goes beyond the change that exists on our campus. We have a huge history of advocacy and the ability to create change within our own administration, within our own institutional makeup, but also in our community and all over the world. We have students who, in light of COVID, are in their communities that their parents were born in India, and providing testing equipment and vaccine access. And so it goes beyond the confines of our campus and really expands to our local community, the Bay Area, the state, and also the entire world. Our location, if you aren't familiar, there will certainly be plenty of plugs for you to come on over and visit us. But our location kind of is the best of both worlds. We provide this real campus feel. I always describe our quad as like that typical movie set college feel, where you picture people like laying around and playing Frisbee, but you're in the middle of the city. You have all the access that you need to the hustle and bustle of the city, the culture, the arts, the technology, the innovation, the global economy that is so much San Francisco. And we're a short transit right away to getting downtown. But you also have access to San Jose, you have access to the north. And so there's plenty of places for you to go, but still kind of come home to this community that feels very traditional campus life. We believe in providing a very value-added education. We really emphasize both the affordability, and when we think of affordability, yes, we cost more than some of the community college options, but we also work with you to maximize the financial aid eligibility you may have, to make sure that we're keeping it as affordable as possible for you. And there's so many great programs. I'm not native to California, but I worked in financial aid for a long, long time before moving to California. And it is one of those places that gives you the benefit of being able to talk about the robust state financial aid programs that complement the federal financial aid programs and really do provide access to our educational systems in the state. But also when we talk about value at San Francisco State, one of the things that we really try to keep our focus on is the outcomes that you get. And Chancellor Claire, you spoke about this as well. And it's what you get out of school. It's the gainful employment, it's the enrichment, it's the friendships, it's the campus life, it's the finding yourself, all of those things that happen in that period of time when you're enrolled in school. It's that balance between what you pay into to go and invest in that education and what you come out ready to do. And that's a big focus for us from the very moment you start in our kind of enrollment pipeline, which is while you're in middle school and high school. And we want to help keep that focus so that we are always outcome driven. So you know what you're getting out of the investment of your time and your energies and your efforts. Our faculty at San Francisco State are dedicated and passionate about the work that they do. And it's in a way that is, somewhat unique in, it's not just the discipline they teach in, it's how they center that in the realm of social justice and change. And so it's they teach biochemistry, but they do it with an emphasis on making the world a better place. And how can they teach biochemistry in that light? They complement it with a general education curriculum that makes sure that you're thinking more holistically and not just narrowly in your chosen discipline. And so it's a very unique place to have that real relationship building with your faculty. Our faculty are faculty who really strive to be dedicated to their teaching first and foremost, and sometimes their research secondary. And what that means for you as a potential student is this opportunity to always have your class taught by the faculty member whose name is listed on that course schedule, and that they show up every day ready to teach you and ready to really help you understand how you could be better in the area that you choose to study. And then my favorite part, the part that gets me most excited and the part that Dr. Moore leads our campus and our efforts in, is really our student service and our campus life. This is the way that we support you in financial literacy, your access, your advising, your educational opportunities, but also the fun stuff, our athletics events, our opportunities for campus engagement. We have over 200 clubs and organizations, and in really any special topic that you could imagine, and the opportunity to create one if we don't have the right thing for you at that moment. And so what our roles are on campus are really there to support and enrich the entire academic experience for a student. And we do that in a way that's complementary to what you're studying, often connected to it, but also by putting students first in the leadership in developing what it is that we're doing. And so our students are active and influential in what it is that we're providing on a day-to-day experience, because as the older I get, the more I realize I should not be deciding what students are most interested in. I should just be listening to them and doing and providing what it is that they're most looking for. And so, that's just a few bullet points on why our students really are just looking at San Francisco State, and why when they choose it, they find that they found the right place for them. And with that, we could skip to the next slide. Dr. Moore, did you want to talk about the options for admissions?
Sure. Thanks, Katie. So, options for admissions, Obviously, the ones are directly from high school and apply to via our Gator or Cal State Apply. Also, too, as we've talked about the issue of transfer, one of the things, and I'm a proud CSU alumni out of Sac State, happy to be back on a CSU campus. So what I would also say to some of our students who are looking to transfer from the community college, we have a great ADT, Associate's Degree to Transfer, and those types of programs really do set students up so that when they do arrive at CSU, they are at the junior level and they're ready to take their core classes. And also what I'm happy to add to that is that in the past, it used to be that students would have to take a certain number of transfer units a certain number of units before they could transfer. Now, students can transfer after attending some community college or even at other universities if they want to come into a major or campus is not impacted. So it used to be that you'd have to do their traditional, I think 60 or 62 units. Now we will take students with less than that amount if they are ready to transfer and they want to get started onto their CSU education earlier. We also transfer as an upper division transfer. Students can transfer as upper division after completing some 16 units at community colleges or at another university if they're looking for if they're trying to transfer into an impacted major. But we do try to work with students as much as possible to offer them as many options as we can. We also too offer some courses for students who are adult learners, but we want to make sure also too that we are keeping as much flexibility and accessibility as possible. I'm going to stop there because those are just some of our options for admissions. And next slide, please. But I'm also happy to turn it back over to Katie.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Moore. One of the things I always like to make sure families are aware of is the way that San Francisco State and the CSU system in general is often positioned to support the students once they arrive on campus or they're in our pipelines to become students. And like I said before, for us, this really starts in conversations like this, in conversations where we're introducing ourselves to you, maybe for the first time, maybe for the 15th time, but we're building that relationship and helping cultivate this idea of what your next step might be or the next step for your student. So some of the things that really jump out to me when I think about what we can do and provide for our students. We have early start programs that are designed to strengthen English and math skills the summer before students start with us. It provides some extra support and transitional programming to help you become a successful college student. We have educational opportunity and pathway programs, a Metro Success Academy, and these are programs that are kind of a community within our larger community, help building relationships, providing mentorship and tutoring, really dedicated academic advising and support. We have a robust new student and family programs unit. This is a unit that reports up to Dr. Moore and really is designed to help orient and transition our students to campus, but also helps to tie in the entire family. We know when a student enrolls with us at San Francisco State, it's not just that student, it's becoming part of that whole family's experience. And guardians, parents, grandparents, they want to be part of that journey along with their student. And this unit on campus is dedicated to providing communication to parents and families, is dedicated to providing opportunities for ongoing visits and engagement with our students and those that they love. Our financial aid programs and our Office of Student Financial Aid really helping students understand what they can expect year to year, and knowing that it's sometimes a very, very overwhelming proposition to think about attending and paying for college, and how we're set up to really provide the information that you need at the right time to help you make the decision about where to go. Some of the really cool and kind of more fun things, health promotion and wellness. These are folks around campus that are helping to provide activities, everything from yoga and meditation to opportunities to climb our rock wall in our Mashouf Wellness Center, to engage in recreation and athletic endeavors, but also to keep this idea of mindfulness and the balance between your academic studies, your engagement as a college student, and your wellness and your overall ability to stay grounded and engaged and move forward through your studies. We have residential communities. Over 4,000 students each year live in our campus residence halls. Those residence halls are really and truly communities in that there's dedicated staff at each one to provide programming and engagement opportunities and help students build that sense of belonging when they are moving away from home. Those folks who really understand that that's a transitionary period for a student and a family, and that there's support needed if you're living away from home, perhaps for the first time. And then also our academic advising and tutoring programs. These are units who have really transformed in the past, 6 or 7 years to provide kind of more robust and student-centered advising and tutoring that's connected. We utilize some technology on campus to make sure that we know where students' success indicators are and where maybe they need some extra support. And so if I jump back to where Dr. Williams kicked us off and we were talking about, how we make sure every student has what they need to succeed, these are the units that are really coming together and coordinating care with each other so that we can provide the best support for each student, even if that needs to be very individual support. And we'll jump to the next slide, which I believe is our last slide. Awesome, thank you so much. And this is just, for not knowing exactly, who's on the line. We like to make sure that we have, the information that folks who are really looking at the decisions right in front of them. If you are one of those families, that you have the information that you need. So if you are a senior or a parent or guardian or family member of a senior, and if you're worried that it's too late, I'm here to assure you it isn't too late. My contact information is right there on the screen. You can feel free to email me directly. Our application deadline has passed, but as Dr. Moore mentioned, we really want to work with students to be as flexible as possible. So we're happy to help accommodate any applications that come in a little bit after our deadline and make sure that you still have a pathway to start in the fall of 2022, if that is what you're interested in. To any juniors or junior families on the line, we like to make sure that you're applying by December 1st of your senior year, and just kind of keeping that in mind. A note to anybody who may be thinking about going to community college first and then transferring to us. It's a reminder that we accept transfers for both the fall semester and the spring semester. So it helps to get you out of this idea of thinking that everything starts in August. We create opportunities year round for you to come join us at San Francisco State. Because I was a director of financial aid for I might say far too long. I always like to remind folks that as you're applying for admissions, no matter where you're looking to go, apply for financial aid at the same time and make sure you're getting all of that squared away. Wherever school you're looking at, there's a financial aid office there willing to help you through the process and support you in doing the FAFSA or the DREAM application, and help you get through that process, because we understand that it can be overwhelming. And I promised I would plug this, so I won't let you down, but it's never too soon to visit wherever it is you're looking. Chancellor Claire spoke about this as well. It's about the fit for you. And to find the fit, it often takes a few campus visits. And so if you're interested in visiting us, there's the link that you can go to and sign up for one of our tours. We have virtual tours, in-person tours. We're happy to always host any cohort of high schools for special programming. But I would echo what Chancellor Claire mentioned, and really go and find the place that's right for you. And to do that, it's often going there and just seeing what your gut reaction is, and how do you feel about belonging in that environment and studying there and learning there and growing there. So I'll leave it at that, because that's always my favorite thing, is when any students coming to visit us, but there's plenty of opportunities to visit all the schools around you.
Thank you, Katie. I would just add too that we do have, because I think one of the questions was a transportation question. So Dr. Williams, want to make sure you and your team and the parents and the families know that we do have a shuttle bus that is from Daly City BART. So students can get to Daly City BART. We have a free shuttle that will take them to and from campus. And that runs fall semester and spring semester. So thank you so much for the opportunity to participate. I'm turning it back over to you, Dr. Williams.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Moore, and thank you, Dr. Lynch. It has been extremely a pleasure, a wealth of information, and you all did it in the speed of light. So thank you. And so this is the time for questions. We have some questions, but we have designated some time for questions before we wrap up. And so we're just going to start answering some of the questions. Just type in your questions and we will respond. And so one thing I do want to remind, because I'm looking at the questions that are posted here. And one question is about middle college. One was, how many kids do we accept? Are we going to accept? Well, currently there are 50 kids per grade level is what we accept. And so then the next question becomes, well, you know, you want to make sure you have access for everyone. Yes, and this is right on point, because Chancellor Claire and President Lopez and myself and my team, we've been in conversation in terms of how to expand the program so that more students have access. But I do want to remind you that every kid has an opportunity to take a course, a college course, and this does not preclude the opportunity for you to earn an AA, do concurrent enrollment, dual enrollment, as President Lopez explained. And so there are different pathways for students to get to the same end. But do know, we are in conversation. There are some things to come later on this semester that we will be sharing with all of you, and that will further address your question. But we are working on expansion plans and ways to expand so that more students can take advantage of the middle college program. Thank you for that question. Just wanted to say that. Cheer. All right, so here we go. Someone says, are you going to expand the program? Wish you were bigger? Yes, we are in conversations about how to do that. In terms of, someone asked a question about students with special needs, and this is for both institutions. How are students with special needs supported at your university or college? And do you accept students who have special needs? Good question.
Yeah, well, Cañada College accepts the top 100% of all applications. So we don't deny anybody. So 100%. And we have lots of programs, and I haven't even started on talking about support programs. So to answer that great question, I'll share with you, we have a resource center. And so it depends on what kind of special needs that you're specifically looking for, but we have a learning disability specialist who provides testing and assessment to see if there's a learning disability and the extra support you might need. And so that could look like extra time on tests, quiet place to take your tests or study. So note takers. So it really depends on the needs of the students too. So absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. San Francisco State also, we have disability services for students. We provide accommodations. We offer services similar to Cañada, in the sense that students self-identify, or students can come in and ask to be tested, and we will provide them with resources to ensure they have the support they need in the classroom. Katie, feel free to add on.
Yeah, one thing I would add to that, and President Lopez, I appreciate, because you covered the basics of, I think, what both of us provide. I would encourage anybody who's considering whatever institution you're considering, always reach out early if you're looking for accommodations, so that we can help facilitate whatever paperwork or anything that you need to make sure that by the time classes start, everything's in order. We don't want to start trying to provide those accommodations a week or two into the semester and have you lose any time of getting that support. The one unique thing about San Francisco State is that we have the Longmore Institute for Disability Research. And so this isn't any programs provided specifically to students for resources, but our institution itself does a lot of research around disability services for students. And so a lot of our faculty in their academic research take this disability oriented lens to their discipline, and has really helped us progress and be a leader in what kind of support students need, and what that support looks like and how we can best provide it. So it's an interesting angle that I think plays into the picture when we think about what our students need, and kind of how that is embedded in our overall curriculum as well.
And so there is a wealth of support for students, for all students, and that goes to, we want to work with all families and all students. Again, what is the fit and what is the pathway? And as Chancellor Claire says, his main point is to finish college, right? It's getting there is one end, but the other end, persistency rates, and to get through and to finish and to do it well. Here's a question. Do you train the high school counselors in all of this? You mentioned that the counselors can help finding the right concurrent enrollment opportunities to support a student's career plan, training and opportunities for counselors, for our counselors.
Well, I wouldn't say we do training for the Sequoia Union High School counselors, but we definitely provide opportunities on a regular basis for the counselors to come together and learn about what is happening at Cañada College through our counselor luncheons, right? Before we all went into COVID, we did regular luncheons and reach outs. When I was a dean of counseling, we actually this is one of my favorite memories. We rented these really two big vans, and we took a bunch of Menlo Atherton and Woodside counselors with our counselors, and together we went to a workshop in Santa Barbara called the 10-year plan. And so we really look for, and it was really fun. I mean, we learned a lot, but it was so much fun. So, we just keep looking for these opportunities to collaborate and learn together, because we are serving the same students. Thank you for the question.
And if I could just, I know I want to get Dr. Lynch to, but if I can just quickly tag on to that, just in general, I've so appreciated getting to know Dr. Williams a little better this year. And one thing, and I don't want to get ahead of our elected boards, but we're really committed to working very closely together, and our district is committed to putting resources, if needed, on our high school campuses to really enhance that relationship. So I'll just leave it there, because there's certainly conversations we want to have with our board members, but we're thinking about much closer working relationship day to day.
And I would echo that for San Francisco State, where, I can't wait for the day that we can have folks back on campus and feed them. But for now, what we are subjecting your very, very busy counselors to are virtual coffee hours at lunchtime. And it seems to be a theme that your counselors generally only have time at lunchtime to join us. But that is where we try to take advantage of that time and really help convey the information of what's new, what's different. Are there anything changing with admissions requirements, or what you need to do to prep, but also to keep folks updated on what students can expect, because sometimes that's the best translation we have is from your counselors. So we do always provide those opportunities for them.
Thank you. Thank all of you. So someone is asking, and actually it's one of the students I'm getting text in, they're typing, but we mentioned competitive programs. Someone mentioned competitive programs. In order to be a competitor in terms of getting accepted, what does that profile look like?
Or when you talk, well, I will definitely lean in, and colleagues feel free to help. When you talk about, are you talking about impacted or competitive programs?
Being a competitive a candidate. Okay.
Well, absolutely. I think what we are always looking for is someone who has completed their requirements to be eligible. And so if you are eligible, then you are competitive. And so what makes you higher up that scale is the higher your GPA is. But as Chancellor Claire and President Lopez have pointed out, the community college is set 100%. For the CSU and for SF State, we look for students that have a certain GPA. and completion of college level college prerequisites. I want to say the A through G, so to speak, but those courses that those students have taken, but that also they pass those courses at a B or better, that makes you much more competitive the higher your GPA is. Katie, I'm sure you can add to that, but I think those types of things make you very competitive in completing our admission requirements.
Absolutely. What I would just emphasize there is definitely, and Dr. Williams kicked us off with emphasizing the importance of A through G. That is what largely a successful completion of A through G makes you admissible to San Francisco State. While we can't boast 100%, we are pretty close to 90. I think we're at 88% for our admissibility rate. And so the majority of our students who are applying to San Francisco State do get in. We have appeals processes because we also recognize that life happens. And sometimes, what's on that transcript might not reflect the whole story. And so we always provide an opportunity for students and families to come to us and say, I'm not just a transcript, there's more to this story here, and I want to tell you that. And those are evaluated by our admissions teams in consultation with our academic advising units, so that we're really making sure that if we admit you, you can be successful with us. Because as we've talked about, there's a cost to all this, and we want to make sure that investment is worthwhile. There are a few programs at the four-year institutions, and depending, some of the CSUs have lower admissibility rates than I just mentioned. But even at San Francisco State, we have a handful of programs that we call impacted. And those impacted programs are ones that have a little bit more rigor in order for you to be admitted into those programs. And they're programs like psychology and nursing. While there's no direct, if you get this GPA, you will get into that program. If you're interested in any of our programs that are like that, I just encourage you to reach out to our admissions team and have a conversation with them earlier and sooner than later about what's the best thing to do to position yourself for success in getting admitted to those programs. Each year, it depends on the size of our application pool for those very specific programs, but we don't have very many of those, and we often have pathways where you could be pre-nursing and then eventually move into our nursing program if you're not directly admitted into it. But we do like to make sure families are aware that in those more competitive programs, the higher GPA and the higher better completion of those A through G requirements that you have, it'll situate you better for those programs.
And if it's okay, I'm going to just talk about competitive programs in general. And I know it's been a long time since you saw the slide where my own children were accepted to every school they applied to. I can't tell you how gratifying it was for them, because some of them were not accepted to some of those schools right out of the high school, and they actually rejected some of those schools when they came around to the community college. So one of the nice things about the community college route is all that work you did as a high school student is really important, but the clock really starts running when you get to the community college. And as Dr. Moore said, it is GPA driven. The other thing that we didn't really talk about at the community colleges is we have something called guaranteed transfer contracts. And I'm not going to get into all the details, but basically, if you have a certain GPA and you're interested in a certain school, and you basically fulfill those units at that GPA, you will be in. So two of my daughters got into UCLA, extraordinarily difficult to get in out of high school, extraordinarily difficult to get in out of community college, but they had the GPAs to do it. UCLA does not have a guaranteed transfer contract. My youngest daughter, Kathleen, did a guaranteed transfer contract with UC Davis, and she knew by her, by I think probably the first semester of her last year, she was into UC Davis in the program she wanted, as long as she kept her GPA up. So that's another way of getting into highly competitive programs is, and a lot of people, we find a lot of our students taking that route. If they don't get into the quote unquote college of their dreams, although fit is the most important thing, I'll continue to say that, they get another chance at it taking the community college route. So.
Thank you very much, all of you. And then here's another question as well. And so if I'm interested in concurrent enrollment, how might I find additional information? I guess I can answer that, but go ahead.
You take concurrent, I can take dual. So we are definitely, as we expand dual enrollment, we are hiring more staff. We know the application process is not an easy one. And so dual enrollment is where we actually go into the classroom and where we are having staff assist students in being able to complete the application so that they do get officially registered in the college course. So we go into the classes, we send staff and students to that class. Concurrent's a little bit harder because students, that's not a class where we actually have, so we have a director of high school transitions person, and I think she's on our Zoom call today, as a matter of fact, and we can put you in touch with Myra, and so she could be of assistance as well. But in terms of at the high school itself, Dr. Williams, would you know what would be the best route for students to seek that help?
Yes, they would go and see their counselor and request information, and their academic counselor will be able to provide them with additional support and information through that process. So, yes. And then we have one more question here. And this question deals with how old do you have, or is there an age limit or requirement to attend the community college while in high school?
You mean you have to be a certain age, not an age limit, but like almost like you
I'm
can't
reading
be
the question.
okay. Sorry. I'm like, so I'm going to take, we don't have an age limit. Certainly, no, we don't have an age limit. But let's say you're 13 or 12 or something like that. Let's say, so the pathways typically are for students that are in high school. However, that we have students that are in high school that are fairly young, like 13 or 14. And so depending on the content of the course, so that's where it would come into play, is if the course is taught again, they're taught at an adult level, then we would want to have a conversation with the faculty member to make sure that they approve that content is appropriate for an underage student. So again, depending on the age that you are, certainly our Welcome Center could give you information on that, and your counselor as well.
All right, thank you. That was our last question. We still have attendees out there. Are there any more questions? We are all here and available and want to assist. So we will have some wait time. And as we go through, are there any final words that you'd like to offer our families and students and those who are joining us this evening in terms of community college enrollment, university enrollment, and just overall support for college readiness?
I guess I'll start, I suppose, and just echo what I've said at the beginning. So again, Dr. Williams, thank you so much for inviting all of us. And you're looking at people on this Zoom call that offer great choices, offer great routes. And often we work so closely together that we have students that actually attend both the community college and the university simultaneously. And so just know that we are, I know we are here working together to make sure that your students have really important post-secondary opportunities. And I know we live in a very high cost region, but I think about the post-secondary opportunities we have here versus we have a lot of sister community colleges in rural areas where the closest Cal State University is 60, 70 miles away. So to have a concentration of so many higher ed institutions working together, wanting to help your students have a post-secondary experience, I know I feel very lucky. Again, speaking as a parent, I felt very fortunate that my children and myself and my wife and my entire family had those opportunities. So I'm just grateful for that. And I'm grateful that we have outstanding institutions that work so well together in the region.
And so here is one question just popped up. Is Sequoia Union High School District going to provide additional support to school site counselors to assist with concurrent and dual enrollment? it's a lot of extra work and a fairly complicated process for a student to do on their own, and also must have the approval of a counselor, but they are so busy. So as Chancellor Claire mentioned, we have some things that and commitments that we've made to one another. And so in fact, if that indeed is a level of support that's needed, then we will have future conversations regarding how we might meet that end. So just stay tuned for more to come. Thank you for the question.
Dr. Williams, I just want to also just say thank you so much for the opportunity for us to participate. One of the things I would add is, please know that we can all recognize that this can be an anxiety-ridden process, but just know there's a lot of support out there for you. Just all you have to do is either send an email, ask a question, reach out. We are here to ensure that once students step on any of these campuses, that they have all of the support they need to be successful, because we recognize that it's kind of a marathon, it's not a race. So it is going to be about fit, but also too, when you do arrive, our goal is for you to complete and to graduate. That's what we want to see first and foremost. So just know that there are student support services and student affairs programs designed to help students be successful in the classroom. So students and parents and guardians don't feel as though your student is out there on an island by themselves. So thank you so much. We want to just make sure that we echo that we're here to ensure you're successful.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. President Lopez.
I mean, I just can, all I can do is just say I agree 100% with all of it. And, you know, one of the questions that was asked that I didn't get a chance to answer is, we have a shuttle service too at Cañada College that Dr. Moore started when she was here. It runs down to East Palo Alto, but we're looking right now at expanding it to Belhaven and North Fair Oaks, because we've been asked to just today. And so we want to be responsive. We want to make, you know, we get that our institutions can be difficult to get to, right? Through the processes, through all the applications, through our location in general up here on the Hill. And so we are just looking at ways that we can break down the barriers and make access, get folks up here, or get people on hybrid or virtual or synchronous, but to access our institutions as much as possible. So just know that we're excited to work with Sequoia Union High School District. And again, my personal goal, and I think we'll put this in our MOU or vision statement, is that really all students at Sequoia Union High School District get an opportunity to take at least one college class before they graduate. So I would love to see that. And I feel like we're on the pathway to make that happen. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, President Lopez. Dr. Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo my colleagues here in the gratitude that we have to be able to be in this virtual space tonight and be talking with you all. You know, it's clear that we all share this passion for making sure that everybody from Sequoia Union feels like they have the right next place to go, and we want to help you get there. I would just, you know, also just express gratitude for the folks on the other end of this Zoom call. By way of being here tonight, you're doing the right thing to support your student, and taking the time in this crazy time we're in right now. It's monumental to show your students that you're there to support them in this adventure and this endeavor, and just know that you have all of our partnership in doing that, and whatever that might be.
Thank you. And thank you to all the panelists. Also, thank you for all of those, again, as Dr. Lynch mentioned, on the other side of the Zoom call, parents, students, community members. It can only happen through our partnership. And rest assured that we are looking for resources to make sure that if it's counseling support and additional support is needed, that we're able to provide it. If it's training that's needed, that we're able to respond. And so please continue to ask questions. And as we formulate ideas and different pathways and also get your input, it will just make our partnership stronger. And then also for us to support our students even deeper and greater. So with that, I want to say thank you all for sharing this evening with me with a conversation with Superintendent Williams. And guess what? Sequoia Union High School excellence is our baseline through leadership, service, and excellence. Let's all become college and career ready together. Have a great evening, everyone. Look forward to seeing you soon. Stay safe. Thank you and good evening. Good night.